This video is going to be a bit different. Usually on this channel I play guitar and sing, but this one's going to be about me. It's a little bit about my story. It was recently made known to me that it'd be coming on 10 years since I had my conversion of heart, basically my experience where I opened myself up to Jesus and put him at the center of my life. So I thought, what better way than to tell that story, retell it a little bit. Yes, let's get into it. Hi, my name's Rob Brown. Like I said, I'm currently 25. I grew up in what you could describe as a Christian or religious family. I grew up going to church on Sundays and going to Catholic school. We were Roman Catholic, and yeah, it just to me felt like going through the motions. I unfortunately just didn't really care that much about God. I didn't think about him, and I just went through my life. But however, from a young age, I remember having a great desire for truth, beauty, and goodness. I just never really made a connection between God and those things. But the summer before I was going to start high school, I was out in the Maritimes, down in Nova Scotia, where a lot of my family is, and I was invited by my nunny and my grandparents to go to a Steubenville youth conference. And I had no idea at the time what this was, but as they were telling me, I started quickly in my head drafting up a sort of pros and cons list. And to be honest, most of the things were pros. It was a weekend away from my parents as a 13 or 14-year-old, a bit rebellious. Get to spend time with my cousins, who I really looked up to at the time. Probably play some frisbee or throw football around, stuff I really like to do. And then, yeah, there would be that Jesus stuff too, whatever we had to sit down for the actual conference. But at the time, I just frankly didn't really care, and I was like, yeah, I'm happy to sit through it. And my nunny, she even offered each of us $50 if we go to the conference. So there was some serious financial backing going into this. Packed my bags and headed off to St. FX University in Antigonish. That's where the conference weekend was. And yeah, I got to do a lot of the great stuff that I mentioned in my pros list. We had a lot of great time together with my cousins, but the conference portion itself was very uncomfortable for me at first. We were in this hockey arena Friday night, just packed full of young, I guess high school aged teens, and there was this Christian band playing music up the front, and I played a lot of music back then still, and I was like, oh, they actually sound kind of decent. But everybody around me, not everybody, but lots of people were raising up their hands, like singing. Even to me, singing in public was a very vulnerable thing at that time. Doing the cross clap. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Anyway, needless to say, they were all filled with this joy. And I realized in that moment that I did not have that same joy, but I wanted it. But I was also too stubborn or prideful, or a mix of things, and I didn't want to admit that the ways that I thought that I could find truth, beauty, and goodness were not pulling through. So I went through the conference a little bit skeptical, kind of analyzing what were all these people around me, kind of what was their reaction. But everything the speakers were saying just really resonated with my heart, and I had never really experienced that, but it really did hit me left, right, and center as there was something true about it. I just didn't know how to put my finger on it. So the conference, it builds up to this Saturday night adoration. It's kind of the high point. Adoration is when, or Eucharistic adoration, I guess the full word, is when Catholics, who we believe in the full presence of the body and blood, in Eucharistic adoration, we take the body, which is the host, the piece of bread, and it's put in this gold-shaped container called a monstrance, and it's just a time of prayer and reflection. There was praise and worship music. I'd never experienced any of this before, so coming into it, again, I was looking around like, what's everybody doing? A lot of people crying, very emotional experience. But again, I was looking up and I was like, is that really Jesus or just a piece of bread? It wasn't quite hitting me. And why did that person over there just faint, you know? But anyway, I left this conference slightly bewildered, but I knew in my heart that there was definitely something more. I remember one of the speakers saying, you can't just live off the high of the conference, but you need to live for God in your daily life. You need to do things and pray. And so I was like, okay, what can I do? Luckily, my youth minister at the time swooped in. She asked me, hey, we're starting a Life Teen Youth group. Would you want to play guitar in our Sunday night worship band? And I was like, don't know about that one. At that time, I was playing guitar, but believe it or not, I never sang in front of people. But she said, you don't even have to sing. You can just sit in the back and play guitar. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm already going to church anyway, so might as well play some guitar rhythm in the back. And so I started going to youth group every Sunday night. But what it became was a bit of like a spiritual pole vault through the week, that I'd go to youth group Sunday night. I'd, come with my questions, my desires, and be like, okay, God, see you next week afterwards, and not really bring it actually into my life. But it was like this Sunday night slice of the life pie, First year of high school, quite an identity experiment. One week you're a punk, the next week you're trying to be an athlete. I don't know. It was a time. So the next summer, I have an opportunity to go to Steubenville again. I'm basically back to square one in my faith life. I don't know if it was just because of the fact that I knew what was going down, but I was more open to it this time around. So more open to actually engage in it. And one of the biggest differences, I think, the second time around was a minuscule, it must have been 5 minutes, not even more, but a minuscule 5 minutes. I went to confession for the first time and authentically confessed all of my sins, even ones that I would have been very ashamed and like afraid to confess to a priest at the time. I think back to it now, and it wasn't the confession that was shameful, it was the sin that was shameful, and the confession was so humbling. And I experienced God's mercy and love in my heart for the first time, and it really did feel like that cliche weight lifted. Wow, I remember just coming out, and it was just like the sun shone brighter than I ever had in my life, and it was still the same sunny day that I had walked out of. Wow, and it just really touched my heart. And so instead of being focused on like what is everybody around me doing in the Saturday night high point adoration, I was actually not able to take my eyes off of Jesus, off of the Eucharist, and just realizing like, wow, this is actually him. I don't know what happened in my heart, but I was just able to really pray a prayer from my heart and say, okay, God, I don't think I have anything to lose. These ways that I've been trying to seek fulfillment in life, to seek truth and beauty and goodness, these things have not been adding up. But you say that you offer to me eternal life, that your truth will set me free. So I'm gonna give you a chance. And honestly, I just gave him that inch of being like, okay, God, I'll let you in. My heart was just overpowered, and I cried, and I remember singing How He Loves Dave Crowder, I think, at the top of my lungs, or one of those kinds of songs. Yeah, the best part, as one of the speakers said it, but I think it really pertains true to my own life. The best part was that I didn't even have to change myself to go to God. Going to God changed me. And as my 15-year-old self was able to put Jesus at the center of my life 10 years ago, why is that hard number to figure out? I reflect now back on it, and reflected many times, and I realized in the wise words of Taylor Swift, if you're 15 and someone tells you they love you, i.e. Jesus, you're gonna believe him. So from that moment, my heart was radically transformed, and I don't know how else to explain it. It's an experience. My heart was touched by a truth that was outside of my heart, that is God, that is the reality, that he is the loving Father, and that he pursued me and revealed his love to me when I asked him to. And so my heart was changed. The rest of my life didn't necessarily change all at once, but it very well followed suit. And by the end of my time in high school, I was very much living for the Lord, and learning how to pray every day and approach him, and going to the sacraments frequently, to mass and confession, and just praying, and having a deep desire to live for him however he was leading me to. And so 10 years later, still growing deeper and deeper with the Lord through every experience, whether it was getting involved with CCO in university or doing Totus Tuus, getting involved in many different ministries, praising the Lord through music and just living for Him. And I think of it like if you heard this this great new album that just was released and you hear it and you're like, wow, this is so amazing. This, what do you want to do? You want to share it with your friends. And so I also have a song that I've been writing about my conversion experience. Hope to release that in a video soon as well. But for now, I hope these words are encouraging to you, and I pray that you would not be afraid to share your own story, whatever it is, whatever it may be, with those around you, because the Lord is so good, and His works deserve to be known. Until next time, this was me, my story, and I thank you for listening. God bless.